Good evening. Of course, Yemenis, we like to speak about things in a long manner, and those few minutes will not allow us to clarify. That's why Twitter did not succeed in Yemen. Facebook was the entrepreneur in Yemen because there is the ability to write more in it. I will move to another part in regard to Yemeni conflict, which is the South issue. The South these days witnesses a specific situation. Most of the areas are free and they are under the Sharia or legitimacy, and we can evaluate Yemen from what is happening in the South. One of the ironies is that the issue of the South at its peak, and the people who struggled in 2007, 8 were killed by the Ali Abdullah Saleh regime. At that time, all prisons were filled with them. The international media never talked about this. We never heard someone analyzing this, whether from the regions, countries, or even the international community. The UN did not have a position which was comforting for the Yemenis in the South. There was a marginalization of their case, an issue. Today, in 2015 and later, the South went through a number of changes. First, the president is from the South. The areas of the South are all under the control of the people of the South. There is security and military from the South. Nonetheless, now they started to spotlight the issues of the South, and this is done on the media, in the Arab channels. The regions, countries, there is now an international addressing of the South issue. This issue started to reappear in the Security Council. This is something which we need to stop and ponder at. What is the issue of the South? How did it start? Is it similar to other things in the international scene? Is it similar to Kurdistan and other places? There is a big difference. In reality, the South state, which have got independence in the 60s, used to have the Unities project, which is the big Yemen. It did not continue because of the communist regime at that time, except for 23 years, and then had a unity with the South in 94. There was the war, and we all know what happened later. We can say one of the important points of the South is that it was always marginalized by Ali Abdullah Saleh. A lot of military personnel were fired fired. There also this coup against the agreement of unity, and this is why the movement of the South have started in 2006. This had continued to go on until against the regime, and until we had a dialogue, a Yemeni dialogue, where this issue was on top of the priorities. If the situation, as I have just described, which is that the South is under the control of the local people, and that we have the outcomes of the dialogue, and we have international resolutions to support this and to give also the rights of the people of the South, what is lacking? A lot of people might overlook this. The South has an internal problem which started with the establishment of the government in '67. This is something which is present in all Arab countries. Not having one uniting factor, one side which helps solve the problems. Now we have marginalization of other and exploiting the power, and this is why we have 73's violence and 86 going forward and as an escape to the unity. This have fragmented the South. The South is in the hands of the people. They could not find a solution. Unfortunately, they don't have one political uniting side, and the door is open for international interventions. We mentioned the Iranian intervention in 2009. It's not as some Yemeni media talks about, saying that there is a Yemeni movement, the Iranian inside Yemen. No, the Iranians are clear about Yemen. They support Houthi group, which represents their project, which was expressed by one of the big officials. He said, now the fourth Arab capital had fallen when the Houthis seized Sana'a. Now, why would they say the same? Because the South and its project does not represent any interest for Iran. They only interfered in a very limited manner in the South by providing military training for some of the people in Beirut and other places. Now the regional countries have interfered more in supporting some of the southern forces and establishing military forces within the South, which represent the South. This is a problem which might lead to problems and conflicts within the South itself. We have tried to clarify to the envoy when we talk to each other that the South's issue cannot be represented through one person or one current or component. It's the issue of the whole nation, and it can be solved through the framework of the outcomes of the national dialogue, which was agreed on in 2014. We can divide the solutions for the South issue into two types. One on the long run, which is rebuild the southern society and community in the correct political manner. We did not have real parties in the South, and that's why we need to solve the issue of the South. And to do that, we need to build the political institutions through supporting pluralism, raising the awareness of the society about the rights, human rights, freedom of expression. And this is a solution which needs a lot of effort to be exerted. However, the emergency solution or the urgent solution can be through that. We cannot solve this issue unless it was within the border of the framework of regaining our state. We don't have a state in Yemen today, and in the southern area, which is under the supervision of the alliance itself, we don't have until now any courts or also security apparatus established. All what is happening is having bits and pieces here and there from sides which are supported by external forces. We need to continue the political working on the political process, and the southern movement shall, with all its different representatives, shall be there. This political process shall resume from where it stopped before what had happened in 2014, and this political process shall lead to a constitution and then referendum, and this shall be what govern all the Yemeni sides. After of which presidential and parliamentarian elections are established, where we have parliaments in the southern regions. Through those parliaments, whether in Hadramaut region or Aden region, the aspirations of the people of the South are expressed, and they can reach the level of the politics which they have, which was approved for them through Riyadh and other conferences. I'd like to end by saying the issue of the South does not represent that the geography, as much as saying that we need to regain the human being and solve and satisfy the basic needs and demands for freedom.